the month of November. Happy new month to you, and you're welcome to Dominion Sports right here on Dominion Television, where we give you every tidbit in the world of sport, from the local stories to the international. We talk of football, basketball, boxing, cycling, the athletics, more and more and more right here on Dominion Television. I am Paul Abe Toluwanimi, and I have the expert analyst here with me in the studio this wonderful morning. His name is Samson Balogun, the man with unbiased analysis and undiluted report. This morning we'll be looking at all things sports, from the local stories to the European things. Samson Balogun, happy new month to you. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Toluwanimi, and of course, good morning to our esteemed viewers out there. It's really nice to be back here on a Monday morning to talk sport on Dominion Television, your channel of choice where inspiration meets entertainment. There's a lot to talk about on this show this morning, ranging from victories for Manchester City and most definitely Shooting Stars, having to contend with a 1-0 draw yesterday. I mean, it's a lot to unpack, absolutely. But then we'll give you the best on this show this morning.
All right, they say the weekends are for actions, while Monday definitely are for the reactions. And we're going to start from the reactions over the weekend from the MPFL, as Abia Warriors grab away win. Shooting Stars held at home. It was another thrilling weekend of action in Nigeria Premier Football League. At match day 11 produced drama, goals and surprises across the country. Abia Warriors to store Niger Tornadoes away has secured a standard result of a 2-1 win, away victory to Niger Tornadoes. Sunday Megwo opened the scoring in the 30th minute before a late first half own goal by Sunday Ayese Akimoludum in the 45th minute of that game. Extended their lead after Abdurrashid Daba at the 54th minute striker for Tornadoes proved only a consolation. In Ibadan, Shooting Stars were forced to a 1-0 draw by resilient Katsina United side. The home team meets several scoring chances, settling for a share spoils after a tense encounter at the Lakon Salami Stadium. Rivers United edge Nasarawa United right there in the maintain an impressive home record with a slim 1 win over Nasarawa United. Timothy Zakaria 45th minute goal was enough to earn the pride of Rivers or 3 points. Eyimba at class Kano Pillars and Aba, defending champions Eyimba, produced a dominant performance at home, beating Kano Pillars at 2-0. John Bassi and Edidong Ezekiel struck in the 29th minute and the 35th minute to seal the win for the People's Elephant. Bayelsa United bounced back with a win over Plateau United, and they showed resilience, overcoming an early setback and defeat Plateau United 2-1 in Yenagua. Gideon Monday had put the visitors ahead in the 7th minute, and Eno James scored twice in the 39th and the 57th minute to complete a remarkable comeback for the hosts. El Kanemi Warriors, Rivers United, Rangers International and Barao all shared the spoils right there. There you have it on the table. Kwara United are having to defeat Remo Stars. That's going to be a talking point for today's show. And also, Academy Warriors against Enugu Rangers ended in a goalless draw. Shooting Stars played a 1-1 draw. Barao and Wiki Torres also are getting a goalless draw in that one. Abia Warriors against Niger Tornadoes. Eyimba are defeating Kano Pillars. Another talking point this morning. Bayelsa United edging Plateau United at home, and Ikorodu City are showing dominance against Kun Khalifa. Rivers United picking up all 3 points against Nasarawa United. Samson Balogun, there you have it. Match day 11 done and dusted. Let's start off from Kwara United and Remo Stars.
Well, I think it is safe to say that Remo Stars are in crisis right now. Because it is becoming unbecoming of the team.
I agree.
If you check their last 4 games, it's been an array of L's, losses, and losses. I mean, it's been a very difficult time, a tough time for the team right now, and most definitely for Coach Daniel Ogumodede. It's you really can't say anything than to pity the coach at this time. They had continental games to contend with. Unfortunately, they lost to Mamelodi Sundowns 7 goals to 1 on that on aggregate, and then they came back, played the leagues, play outstanding games, and most definitely played on Saturday, and it's still not coming together for them. And I just feel the coach should just freshen things up a little bit. Maybe make some, drastic changes. If your first 11 players are not giving you the best, maybe it's time to look inward and look at some other players on the bench who can actually come in and do the best. Unfortunately, at this time, the team has lost, a level of leadership in that team.
Yeah.
And that was in person of Kyle Bankole, who just moved to South Africa. I mean, even when he wasn't playing, he was a very big figure in that team, a captain, and most definitely was in control, sort of, you know, after the coach, it is Kyle Bankole in that team. Unfortunately, he probably fell out with the coach or fell out with the management of the team, was shipped out to South Africa. But then what we are seeing right now is the team lacks a little bit of coordination on the field.
Even a certain John Unduka also is not in the team.
Right.
Also out of Remo Stars.
So it's a lot to handle. And also Ifeanyi Anemena is also not in the team anymore. These are players who played vital roles for the team at the time. Unfortunately, they are no longer there. Yes, you cannot fault their recruitment in the off-season. They brought in a few players, but you know, sometimes it is a little bit difficult to inculcate some of these players into the team. I mean, you know, bring them to the same standard and level of the players who were already in the team. I mean, I do say this to coaches: if you are bringing in new players, do as much as possible. Make sure that majority of your key players are still in the team, because if they are not, it's a problem. Now, you talk about creativity for Remo Stars. It's not coming. It's not the level of creativity in that team as you speak is not given. Let me use that word. It's not given, or maybe it's not creating.
It's not creating.
And then when you look at
creating is a word.
They are not creating enough chances, and then the little they are creating, they are not converting, and that has a lot to do with the epileptic display of their strikers this season. Sikiru Alimi is no longer there. They brought in Victor Mbahoma, but unfortunately Victor Mbahoma, as big as he is in the MPFL, and of course the experience he has had when he traveled, he has still not been able to replicate the form he's been known for. So it's a lot to handle for Coach Daniel Ogumodede, and he has to tread carefully, because if he doesn't, this will end up in a crisis. Well, we can't say they are not currently in crisis, but it's still, they can still control it at this time. I mean, we have seen teams who started way way worse than that, and they were able to, though they might not qualify for the continent, but at least they will finish in a strong place, and then they can actually start over from there.
Oh, I agree. We're going to watch the game, the highlight game between Kwara United and Remo Stars. But before that, let's look at more results, match day 11 in the MPFL. Quickly, if we have that displayed on the screen. There you have it on the screen. The result over the weekend was mouth-watering goals. You know, fantastic, you know, result right there from the team. And it just goes to show that these are teams who are ready, you know, to get things, you know, done for themselves. You look at the result from Abia Warriors, you know, getting the victory, you know, over the weekend. Also, you look at teams like Economy Warriors also trying to slug at points right there. So it's a whole lot to see. Rivers United also getting a victory against Nasarawa United. If we can have the result of the game and not the table, if we can have the result of the game on the screen, you know, so that we can. Let's talk about Rivers United against Nasarawa United. That game ended in favor for Rivers United.
Yes, you know, as I always say, you know, you cannot really. When you look at Rivers United as a team, they are actually one of the biggest teams in the NPFL. When you talk about their strong finish last season, they finished second on the log behind Remo Stars, and it's just something that you know, you would want to talk about when you look at how the team is set up. Nasarawa United is still new to this whole thing. They have been able to do a few things. They have been able to win some games. And most definitely, if you look in juxtaposition with what other teams are doing in the league, it's it's not a surprise that they actually won that game. It's not a surprise, but when you talk about quality of players, when you talk about quality of play, and when you talk about what they bring to the table in the NPFL, you can so see that you know, it's not too far off. But then Nasarawa United still has a lot to do this season. The season is just about 10-11 games, and they still have a lot to offer. But then losing to Rivers United is not a mistake. When you talk about caliber of players, the experience, exposure, I mean, Rivers United is way ahead of Nasarawa United on that one.
Abia Warriors picked up a victory away from home to Niger Tornadoes. That has placed them ahead of Nasarawa United. They're on 21 points and they're leading the table. Let's talk about the game for Abia Warriors. You know, you look at what Imama Akapo, yes, has been doing, you know, with the team Abia Warriors. They're sitting first on the log of the table with 21 points.
You see, when you talk about coaches in the MPFL, Imama Amakpakabo is, you know, arguably one of the best, and you really cannot, you know, you can't just but give him the credit he deserves. And you could remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I was talking about their trip to play away from, and I said, look, their title credentials will be put to test. Would they be able to get results away from home? If that is yes, then you can believe that they still have what it takes to actually win it. Do not forget that before Nasarawa United, you know, on the top of the log, it was Abia Warriors. And you know, for some time they stayed there you know, due to some losses, they lost in Ibadan to Oluyole Warriors, Shooting Stars, and that was
and
one of
also playing the continental games.
So it's a little bit shaky for Abia Warriors, but then if you look at their level of consistency, having been able to get games away from home, then you can tell that their title credentials is never in doubt. And at least sealing a victory away from home tells you a lot about what you need to know about it.
I agree. We're going to watch the game, the island game between Kwara United and Remo Stars. And when we are back, we'll be discussing about Shooting Stars and also Eyimba against Kano Pillars. What's the situation with Kano Pillars? We'll be talking about that on the show. All right, you're welcome back from that beautiful break. That's a fantastic game between Kwara United and the Remo Stars. And Samson Balogun was just wondering, how has the mighty fallen at this point in time? And it looks Kwara United should have had more goals, against the Remo Stars, and it's not looking too good for them. Quickly, watching that game, how does that light the season for you for Remo Stars?
You see,
And also the change for Kwara United.
You see, it's not really about if Kwara United did better than they used to do. It's just about the fact that Remo Stars were just below. They were below par. I mean, you expect too much from a defending champion, but unfortunately they offered less. And I'm just sad that a team that represented Nigeria on the continent is now languishing, at the rock bottom of the table. I mean, the last 3 teams on the log. I mean, it's just I really do not know how Remo Stars found themselves.
Honestly.
Now, there's this thing I say about teams that qualify for the continental competitions. As much as you, as a coach, love to keep your squad, so close, you don't want too many players, you want to concentrate on the few you have and then make good use of these players. But unfortunately, if you are playing on the playing continental football, you would need a large squad.
I agree.
What that means is not just large squad, you need quality players, in a large squad. Because when some players are not up and doing, you can easily dig into your arsenal and then bring in some players to actually join you, to make things happen. Unfortunately, one of the things Remo Stars did, they recruited. But then, how effective has this recruitment been so far? I've not seen what they since Victor Bauma scored that goal against Rivers United in the opening game of the season, which ended in a 1-0 draw against Rivers United. We have not had too much about him. And this is a player that Remo Stars hyped so much, brought him back from abroad, said, look, this is one of the strikers, because Sikiru Alimi will be leaving, and then they brought, unfortunately, we have not seen too much. So where does Remo Stars go from here? I think that's the drawing table. Will the coach be able to fix things? I think he can. How soon? I don't know. But then this has to be done as soon as possible, because you cannot have, yes, they still have 3 games to play, to spare, and with this kind of performance, will they be able to win all those 3 games?
Honestly,
I don't think so.
I don't think so also.
It's a lot to handle for them.
It's a lot to handle for them.
And I know the chairman is watching.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes when these things happen, you just, the easiest thing for a coach to do is to walk away. But Daniel Ogumorede has been with that team for so many years, and he's done so much for that.
Yeah, we agree.
In fact, the manager and the owner of the team, Kunle Shoname, has given him his credit for that. He knows exactly how much change he has brought to the. In fact, we can call him the pioneer coach of that team, and they have done so well.
Fantastic.
But where are they getting it wrong? They are in 2 phases. One, there might not be enough quality players in that team.
That's true.
2, the coach must have tampered with his style of play or tactics on the field of play, which is alien to the players. Well, the other thing I might think about is the players are tired of the coaching crew. They just want a change. Sometimes change is all you need.
I agree.
But sometimes it is not just about the change. What if you change and you are still not changing?
I agree.
We can cite an instance of Nottingham Forest. They were having issues. They sacked their coach, brought in Hank Postecoglou. Unfortunately, it was worse than the coach that was there. Save for the fact that they brought in Sean Dyche, the firefighter, to come and make changes. But then, it's different abroad than what we have here. If you bring in too many coaches, one after the other, in the same season, how will these players cope with the different tactics and style of play each coach will be bringing on board?
I agree.
An instance is that of the Super Eagles in the World Cup qualifying series. It was Jose Parcero.
Yeah.
After Jose Parcero, they brought in Austin Eguavoen.
Yeah.
There was Finidi George.
Yeah.
After Finidi George, we now have Eric Shells in charge. You see, the transition really did not favor the team. Now, the calculation is, if it was Ose Pasero, Nigeria could have qualified easily. Oh, you would have said, oh, when he left and then they brought in a new coach in Finidi George, oh, they should have left Finidi George. He would have done a very good job, judging by what he is doing at Rivers United at this time. But then, Finidi George played one game, 1-1, 3-1, was kicked out of the team. And then another coach came. That was Austin Eguavon on an interim basis. He also did the same. 1-1, 3-1, kicked out. Eric Shells came on board. Now, all the fault of the other coaches is now being piled up on Eric Shells because he played a few games and also had a few draws. So it's a lot to handle. But the problem now with Remo Stars is the fact that we are not seeing the spark we saw last season.
I agree.
We are not seeing the spark we used to see. There used to be a time when they paraded players that you would know, oh, these guys will get close. Sikiru Alimi once played for Shooting Stars, but he did not perform as much as he did for Remo Stars. So it shows that when players also see changes, when they move from one place to the other, it could make or mar their career. It could mean that they get better or they get worse, which is what we are seeing right now. So let's go back to the drawing board, Remo Stars. Let's see what exactly the problem is. If it is about the management, they can actually get something done about it. If it's about the coaching crew, the management can do something about it. And if it's about the player, January transfer window is almost here. You can recruit players. And of course, lay off some players, not like lay off in that sense. You can actually sell these players, not suspend players or sack players.
All right. We're talking Remo Stars, we're talking the MPFL football. I don't know why. I have a feeling that maybe, the in and out of a coach, Ogumade with the
He's not being consistent. He's not being consistent. I think it is time that the management will ask him a question. Are you really working with us or with the Super Eagles? What you want to do is to build a portfolio, which you have done successfully. You have been with the Super Eagles, including Fidelis Ilechukwu. You have all done well. If you look at Fidelis Ilechukwu too, he's having issues. Rangers International.
They're struggling.
They are struggling. So now we can at least trace the problem back to a particular issue, which is the fact that these coaches have not been there. Intermittently they have had to leave the team, be with the Super Eagles, and then come back while league action is still ongoing, which for me is not good enough.
It's not good enough. I agree. All right, let's talk Kano Pillars quickly before we talk about the Shooting Stars Football Club yesterday, where they had a 1-1 draw right there against Katsina United at Lagos Salami Stadium. Let's talk about Kano Pillars. There you have the pictures on the screen. You'll see, most of these players. Rabiu Ali's picture. There you have the fixtures right there. The game ended in favor of Eyimba, 2-0. Eyimba United are thumping Kano Pillars. At this point in time, Samson Balogun, it looks like a massive struggle. Let's look at the table quickly, where Eyimba United are sitting at this point in time and where Kano Pillars are at this point in time. Let's look at the table. If we can have the table displayed on the screen quickly. It's a bit of struggle right now for Kano Pillars. But before that, Eyimba have now been able to move to 6th position with 16 points, and Kano Pillars, so much worry for them. Samson Balogun, how do they restructure themselves back to the champions that we know Kano Pillars to be? Or is the season finally over for Kano Pillars?
When we were talking about this last week, I was saying, look, as well as you think Eyimba is right now, they are way better than Kano Pillars. And they showed that in the game between these two teams. They were able to get 2-0 victory against Kano Pillars. And that only points to one direction, that they have further compounded the woes of Kano Pillars. And right now, they'll be licking their wounds. Now, the problem for me is way beyond what people are saying. Yeah, you might want to say they are not performing well on the field of play. Yes, we understand that. But then, is the management doing enough? That's another problem. And unfortunately, they have a player manager in that team. They have a player who is also the GM of the team, named Ahmed Musa, a former international who people think he knows so much about the game of football. He has traveled far and wide. He should understand what it means. But unfortunately, you see, sometimes there are responsibilities that that can outweigh a person, no matter how diligent and intelligent you think you are. When you are given or saddled with those responsibilities, you might just sink. And that's exactly what is happening to Ahmed Musa. Ahmed Musa has never been a manager of any football club.
I agree with you.
Not a coach, not a manager. But then he was given the role of a general manager.
Was it given or he selected himself?
Well, he was made the general manager by the Kano State government. Whether you like it, you cannot select. You cannot select yourself to be the general manager. Just like you are saying, I mean, Toby Adepoju gave himself the job of shooting stars. No, he was called and said, look, we want you to be, you know, the chairman of this team, and then we want you to work things out. Unfortunately, it has not worked well for him. The only thing I'm really worried about is history. You know, Ahmed Musa is writing history at this time. And the kind of history he's writing is really disheartening. At this time, they have played 10 games and they are on 5 points. Yes, let's say they were on 8 points because they were deducted 3 points, you know, for the issue they had, you know, with Shooting Stars and, you know. But then, going forward, what exactly can Kano Pillars actually do to turn things around? You see, when you have this kind of issue, you look for a coach that has done it before, that can turn things around. Unfortunately, Aliyu Zubairu has left the shores of Nigeria, has gone to Egypt. He's one of the coaches that they could have turned to get things on.
We still have a Benga.
Benga Ogubota is still somewhere. Whoever is advising Ahmed Musa at this time to bring Gambo Muhammad, who has never been a coach anywhere,
I'm wondering,
to be the interim coach of Kano Pillars.
It's going wrong for Kano Pillars. It is going wrong.
You see, it's really annoying that, you know, some decisions are being made, and then you question the fact that those decisions were made in the first place. How do you bring Gambo Mohamed in a situation where the team is really struggling? What I know that teams usually do is that when they are in crisis, they have told the coach to go. The assistant coach is most times retained to do 2-3 games until, I mean, you know, a new coach is actually scouted for and then given a job. But this time around, they had to send every member of the crew out of the team, and then they brought Gambo Mohamed. Will he be able to do it? I don't think so, because he has never been a coach anywhere. He has no track record. And, you know, it's really challenging for them at this time. We call them the crumbling pillars, but unfortunately, it has crumbled. Not way beyond what people are actually saying. And if he continues this way, I think they will be playing the second tier of you know, Nigerian football next season.
I agree. And Samson Balogun, you look at the pictures from the screen, you know, you talk about some certain caliber of players in that team, and it's not shaping. It's not. You know, the shape is not in form for them at this point in time. You have the great Pele. You talked about Abdullahi Shehu still in the team. Right. You talk about Ahmed Musa. You know, that knows you know, about the world of football better than most of these players in this team. And right now, it's not working out. Let's speak about Enyimba United having to pick up this victory, you know, on their own turf, and has placed them back, you know, as maybe title contenders at this season.
Well, you see, unfortunately, you cannot call them title contenders. You know, what we have in the MPFL right now, we have a bunch of title pretenders. And why did I say
okay,
that?
Why that? Why that?
Is that, you know, just one mistake, one loss or a draw can actually take you from you know, your position on the log and take you 5 places down. Now, if you can see the table back, let's go back to the table. And then let's do an analysis of what the table currently looks like in the MPFL.
Thank you.
Now, you look at Niger Tornadoes, that is currently on 17 points, down to 10th position, right? On 16 points. Meaning that if you lose or draw a game, you are leaving 5th position and probably going to 11th or 12th on the log, right? And then other teams will actually climb. So there is no distance between these teams. It is they all have here 17 to 14, which is 12th position. It's just 3 points. Just one game.
Just one game.
So just win a game, and then someone loses by mistake away from home, even at home, and then you are right there on the log. So when I said we have title pretenders, I wasn't lying. Now, Nasarawa United before the weekend were league toppers.
I agree.
They were right there at the end of the
table.
So they lost just one game, and after losing that game, you see them right now. They are second on the log. Just 1 point ahead of Ikorodu City, that just 2 games away, they were just about 9th or 10th on the log. So you can see how they have moved from one place to the other. So when I said we have title pretenders, they are all pretending. The league will only shape up when we have about 10 games to go in the season, or maybe the last 8 games of the season to make it 38 games. So every one of these teams, they are going to win. They are going to win at home and then go away and lose. So meaning that the team that wins this week climbs, and then the team that loses drops. So the distance between them is either just 2 points, 1 point, 3 points. Maximum is 3 points. Look at the distance between first and second, right? 21 and 19.
Just 2 points.
Just 2 points. So what's the difference? So you lose one game, and then another team, you are top on the table. That was exactly what happened when Nasarawa United, you know, moved straight to the top of the table when Abia Warriors lost at Shooting Stars in Ibadan. So it's the movement is very.
You see that you win or you keep winning. Or
now look at the points between Ikorodu City and Abia Warriors, that is at the top of the log, it means that if Ikorodu wins their next game,
And Abia
Warriors loses, Ikorodu will go straight to the top of the table from third.
Great.
And then you look at Warri Wolves, also on 18 points, same as Ikorodu City, meaning they also have a chance of going to the top of the log.
Yeah.
And the goal difference is that currently Warri Wolves has four goals.
Yeah.
4 goals advantage.
Ikorodu City
has 5.
Wow.
Even Nasarawa United, they were table toppers into the weekend. They now have just 3, while Abia Warriors have 4 goals. So it means that by just one goal, if Niger Tornadoes, Warri Wolves wins their next game by just 1 goal, they are moving straight to the top of the log.
Honestly.
Now, depending on what happens to the rest of the team. So we do not have a title. When I said teams like Remo Stars, you can still find them at the top of the table by the end of the season. Now, if you look at Remo Stars right now, where they are on 17th. They have played 8 games. Yeah. While others have played how many games?
11.
They have played 11. So they have 3 games in hand, which is 9 points. If you add 9 points to 10 points, that's 19 points. Takes them straight to second on the log.
I agree with this table.
All the way from 17th. So it's really dicey. And when I see any team, look at Akon Khalifa, that were, I think, 8 before the weekend. Look at where they are now. They are now back on 15th. So it's been, you go up and come down. So the moment you win, you travel. And then the moment you lose, you come back to where you are coming from. So all these teams, they all have, 1 or 2 things. Bayelsa United too, they are 14th. If you look at 14th position right now, by just 1 win, which will now be 17, takes them to where? Takes them to 14th, 4th.
Yeah.
On the log, or maybe 5th. Just ahead of Niger Tornadoes. So there's nothing spectacular about what is going on. The only thing is that every team thinks they are entitled to victory on their home soil. So they try as much as possible, whether it's a refereeing decision, whether it's by crook or anything, they win at home. And then they go home and then they mess the name of the club up away from home because they really cannot live up with the expectations. If you see teams that are really title contenders, no matter how bad it is away from home, intermittently, not every weekend, it happens in the EPL too, not every weekend, intermittently they just go away from home, get results, a draw, a victory, sometimes a loss. You win, you lose, or you draw. That's the statistics in football. So as it stands, the league for me is still not where it should be. And it's still going to get more interesting than this.
All right. Come on, what an analysis coming through from the captain. Just talking about the table, let's now look at Shooting Stars, our darling football club. Yesterday, playing against Katsina United. Both are sitting 9th and 10th on the log of the table. Let's look at, before we discuss about the game, let's look at how the lineup was for you, Samson Balogun. Let's start from there. Were you excited to see, that lineup, pulled up by Coach Nurudeen Aweroro yesterday, against Katsina United?
You see, one thing I want people to understand by the starting 11 is that, one player cannot play all 38 games. And, sometimes these players have to rest. Ayo Bami Jr., being the mercurial midfielder in the team, has played virtually all the games this season and he needed rest. And the coach understood that and he had to place him on the bench. Yes, Chukwudi, who was, put in that situation to, replace Ayo Bami Jr., is a fantastic player. Unfortunately, he has not really settled at, Shooting Stars. He was a league winner at Yimba Football Club. He's a fantastic player. Every player, in fact, when I saw how Inachi was, was having issues last season when he was subbed in, I really felt for him because when a player is under pressure to deliver, is arguably
the one they called Fine Boy.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. But unfortunately, he was not there. He was under too much pressure. That was his first game this season. He's been condemned to the bench. This guy played for Rivers United.
Yes, I had to play for Yimba. This guy
played for Yimba and did so well for these teams.
He won them trophy.
Why come to Shooting Stars and then have issues? You see, when you stay, one thing Nigerians do understand is that they think, an average Nigerian or an average footballer is just like a match. The moment you spark, then it starts burning. But then it doesn't work that way. These players, if you train, and you are not seeing, weekly action, then match rustiness will set in. And that's exactly what you saw. He hardly could control the ball once. Yeah. So it shows he's just been training and then there is no action. But the coach really had to make some substitutions. But the problem occurred when the coach had to make an emergency substitution when the game started. Yes, the starting 11, people expected a particular player is not there, but the team still played well. They were still in the game until Promise Awosome had to be withdrawn due to injury. And that, changed the approach of the game.
Immediately.
In fact, it changed how the coach was seeing the game. Because Promise Awosome was, arguably what the coach was relying on with Ismail Ayodele on both flanks. Yeah. But unfortunately, when Promise Awosome was withdrawn, Ismail Ayodele was the only one left as the mesmerizing, attacker on the field of play. But unfortunately, the Shooting Stars could not supply him enough passes. So he could not do what he knew how to do best. The coach had to withdraw him, which was the mistake of the game. When you are in need of a goal, you need a dazzler on the field of play. You draw fouls, so you get free kicks. And then this guy can actually go past 2-3 players and then, find the right pass or maybe find the right shot.
Or get a penalty.
Unfortunately, immediately he was subbed off. There was no creativity in front.
Yeah, I agree.
So no one could dribble 1-2 players and then put the ball in the back of the net.
I agree.
Kamara Adegoke, who was actually relied on to play on the flank, well, he's not a winger. He doesn't play on the flank. He's a replacement to Sadiq Ibrahim. So unfortunately, he had to bring him on board when promised. In fact, I would have loved to brought in another midfielder to compensate for what they had on the field of play and then shift Tijani to the flank.
To the flank, I agree.
In that game. But he did not see it how I was seeing it. He made that sub and then that single substitution messed the whole arrangement up. And I think the coach going forward should understand what his team looks like before he makes substitution.
Okay.
And I mean, you played 2 strikers with no creativity up front. And the only creative attacker you had on the field of play had to be withdrawn because you needed to make a substitution. I mean, it doesn't work that way.
I agree.
But, sometimes these mistakes do come. Above all, it doesn't mean that Shooting Stars did not play games.
Yes, they did.
It doesn't mean that they did not create chances. In fact, look at Mustafa Adams. His last free kick.
Yeah.
He was so pained. That was exactly how he scored against the Yimba.
Yeah.
He was so pained that could have been the winning goal. Unfortunately, the keeper understood the assignment and did it perfectly well and parried the ball out of the ball. So, going forward, I think, one thing that is also lacking in that team is that, they have too many players and, not too many of them can actually come in and make a difference, except from the starting 11. Right? So, when you look at the Shooting Stars bench, when Ismail Ayodele is not playing, and then another player, maybe Abi, is on the field of play, you already know in your mind that when we need a goal, Ismail Ayodele is coming on board. But when Ismail Ayodele is on the field of play and Promise is not playing, you already know that if Promise is coming on board, it brings a different approach to the game, and then some things can be done. Unfortunately, they were both on the field of play, and one was injured. Who was coming in to be another dazzler on the field?
He could not. He could not match
up. That was the problem. So the coach has worked on the starting 11. He now needs to work on how he changes his own style of play on the field while still bringing in a few players.
All right. Let's look at the next game for Shooting Stars quickly before we wrap up the show. Let's look at the next game for them. Yes, away from home, if you can have that displayed on the screen. The next game for Shooting Stars, why we look at that one is a little bit dicey for Shooting Stars. You look at the next game, they're going away to Rangers. Yes, and after Rangers, they're going to have Remo Stars come to Lagos Salami Stadium, and the next game is going to be Kwara United. So 3 games on the bounce, for Shooting Stars looks extremely now difficult. Looking at where they are right now on the log of the table. Let's talk about the game away to Rangers International and the game to Remo Stars. I know it's one step at a time, but right now away form for Shooting Stars has been a little bit of year and year. We know how we picked up the victory against Kano Pillars, also picking up victory away from home to right there against Eyimba. But let's talk about the game against Rangers International quickly.
You see, I don't see too much difference in Shooting Stars and Rangers International right now. They've also had their fair share of struggles this season. They are not where they want to be. And Fidelis Ilechukwu being one of the go-to coaches in the MPFL, he's trying as much as, in fact, he's working assiduously to see that the team goes back to where he wants them to be. Now, what does that mean for Shooting Stars? It means that you put your best legs forward. I've seen situations where the coach had to tinker with the starting 11 just because they are traveling abroad, and then some changes will have to be made. So let's see what will happen. Start up well, play from the blocks. Do not, you know, play low blocks. Most definitely, you know, don't be too relaxed about the offside trap in Nigeria. It doesn't really work that way. It took the fourth official extra energy to restore normalcy to the game. The referee lost the game in the first 20 minutes between the game against Shooting Stars.
Yes, and Katsina United.
It was the linesman were I don't want to use this particular word, but what they did. I want to be careful with the kind of word I use, but then they were not really there. The linesmen, they were not really there. A lot of wrong decisions, throw-ins against Shooting Stars, even ones that belonged to the opposition were given to Shooting Stars. It was just a wishy-washy arrangement, and I was when the fourth official, who is actually right now is actually one of the best referees in Nigeria. I don't understand how he found himself as the first official for the weekend. Maybe they wanted him to rest or something, but then he's arguably one of the best referees we have in Nigeria right now. In fact, if he's not the best, he was the fourth official. You saw how he came on. He was doing what originally he shouldn't be doing. He was running up and down, changing the decision of the referee, saying, look, you have not done the right thing. This is what you do. Because I'm saying it from this angle. You should see it. And, you know, even for minor things that you saw yourself, a player deliberately kicked the ball outside, the referee was waiting for the linesman to actually
make the call. You should be making the call.
This is what you saw by yourself.
You should be making the call.
I mean, you are the anchor man, you are the AM's man at that time. You know exactly what you are doing. You should know what you are doing. Unfortunately, it's not working fine. So if all this is to go by, away teams should be more careful. You know, you have to be well prepared that, you know, sometimes decisions might not go your way. And then home teams should also make sure that they are really prepared for these games. But then, all in all, the next 3 games for Shooting Stars, they are games they could easily win. If they are well prepared. And if the team is ready to get it done.
All right, let's move away from the local stories right there in the MPFL and let's talk European football quickly because of our time. Let's talk about the games over the weekend. Chelsea picking up a victory against Tottenham Hotspur expectedly. I'm sure as a Chelsea fan, you know, listening to us right now, you'll be expecting to pick up that victory. And it didn't go well, you know, for Thomas Frank's side. I even saw a video of Jens Spence and, you know, Mickey Van der Ven ignoring Thomas Frank after the game. He was trying to talk to them and, you know, they were all angry and furious of, to me, I didn't see a tactics and also a gameplay from Tottenham Hotspur. It looks like they just came to, you know, maybe they came for a training game. But Chelsea had the game in mind and they got the goal. They should have gotten more than that, but Chelsea picking up the victory quickly.
You see, it's just unfortunate that even Chelsea that were not up and doing had to get a victory against the Tottenham team that, in fact, when we were discussing this on Friday, I was saying that Chelsea will find it difficult against Tottenham, and the best result for Chelsea will be a draw in that game. Unfortunately, you know, they proved me wrong. That was the only thing I got wrongly, you know, over the weekend. But then, I'm not, you know. You see, it's for Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank has been able to imprint his own style of play, aggressive football, you know, fight for every ball, and then when you get the ball, you hit it on the counter. That was exactly why they got Kudus and some players in the team. Yes, Kudus played this part, but were other players able to, you know, support in that regard?
Like Xavi Simons,
they were more like the Chelsea of the last 5 games, you know, when they were getting red cards. They were more aggressive and what they were doing was more of anti-football than football itself. So they were more interested in the rivalry outside the pitch than rivalry on the field of play. So they were ready to fight, they were ready to... So it wasn't the Tottenham I would see play beautiful football under Harry Redknapp, under Martin Jol, and some other, even Wandy Ramos at the time, Mauricio Pochettino. So for me, that was not the debut I was expecting. I was expecting end-to-end entertaining football, but then it ended in favor of Chelsea.
All right, let's talk about result and big shout out to Moise Caicedo, fantastic player.
You know, as they used to say to Kante, you know, 70%, 10% of the world is covered by water. I mean, the rest is covered by, you know, N'Golo Kante. But now it's Moise Caicedo.
Now,
if not for him, Chelsea wouldn't have gotten that
agree,
goal.
I
He
agree.
made 2 interceptions back to back, and then made that assist, and then there was a goal from Joao Pedro.
All right, Liverpool finally picking up a victory. Samson Balogun, it looks like you know, they are back in good form.
You know, I was telling you that you know the only time they could turn things around is now, and they were able to do it against Aston Villa.
They did.
And you know, for me, what they needed was just you know, a reorientation from the coach. Maybe there's a particular style of play, or maybe there's a tactics we've been
or
using.
maybe some players needed to come back because McAllister and Gravenberch had to play.
They had to play, and
game,
you know, they got the result.
result.
Maybe that's the turning point they actually need.
All right, let's look at more result quickly. Manchester City picked up a victory, 3-1. There's a story about Haaland, and it's a fantastic one. I'm just going to take that story as a wrap up the show. Is in good form. I think this man deserves, you know, so much credit. Haaland is a goal-scoring machine. Most goals scored in the opening 10 games of a Premier League season. In 2022-2023 season, 15 goals. 2025-2026, 13 goals. 13 goals. Also, 2023-2024 season, 11 goals. 2024-2025 season, 11 goals. It's back-to-back goals right there for Haaland, and it's stopping at that. If you look at, you know, some of the legends right there, just Les Ferdinand
of Newcastle United.
Newcastle United, and Haaland doing what Haaland knows how to do best.
You see, he has been able to relegate all the English legends who were actually on the log. And, only Les Ferdinand is left there. And, you know, all that... It's just like Cristiano Ronaldo, that sometimes when he breaks a record and you ask who was the previous record holder, it's still Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's the situation right now. He broke a record, and then when you look at the situation, it's still his own record that he's breaking. So it's more or less like he has set an agenda in the EPL. And when he came on board, actually, some people never thought he was going to be this, you know, effective for Manchester City.
I'm sure Manchester United fans will be so livid right now because, you know, a certain Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he picked up this player for a signing, and Manchester United felt, you know, we don't play like that.
You see, it's really sometimes when you have you know, scouting issues in your team and someone recommends a player for you, you have to check again. Unfortunately, even Manchester United, they gamble on players too. There was a time Sir Alex Ferguson ordered for the signing of Bebe, and then he came on board. He became, you know, another crisis for Manchester United. So when they recommend players, sometimes you cannot buy or acquire every player, but then you can only get a few. And unfortunately, they could not sign Haaland because someone did not believe in him. Now he's doing well at Manchester City. Kudos to Erling Haaland for maintaining a level of consistency.
All right, tomorrow on the show, we'll be discussing about the tables right there, the Premier League, the La Liga. We'll also be discussing about the Bundesliga and all the top 5 leagues in the world. We'll be discussing about that on the show. Also, we'll be discussing the Super Eagles camp ahead of the big game against Gabon. More of this on the show tomorrow, so make sure you stay connected right here to Dominion Sports on Dominion Television. A big thank you to you, Samson Balogun. Thank you for always joining us on the show. It's always good to have you at Talk Sport right here. The Sport and Family, that's all we can take at this wonderful morning. Big shout out to the crew. Thank you for making us show on the world, and also to the producer, a big thank you to you. We're going to see you again tomorrow. Make sure you stay blessed. Make sure you stay safe. I remain Paul Abbey Toluwanimi. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.